Blue Beetle director Angel Manuel Soto's 2026 buddy action thriller The Wrecking Crew, Aquaman star Jason Momoa plays Johnny Hale, a suspended Oklahoma reservation cop, while Guardians of the Galaxy's Dave Bautista plays his estranged Navy SEAL half-brother James. Written by Jonathan Tropper, produced by MGM, and released January 28, 2026 on Amazon Prime Video, this film earned 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. Shot in Hawaii and New Zealand, the project began with Bautista's 2021 tweet pitching a Lethal Weapon-style movie with Momoa after they played brothers on Apple TV's See. The story begins with a drone shot gliding over Waikiki Beach as Guns N' Roses blasts through a car radio during Chinese New Year celebrations in Honolulu, Chinatown. An older Hawaiian man named Walter Hale, a private investigator with ties to the criminal underworld, walks through the crowded streets completely unaware a blue catering van is following him. The van accelerates without braking and mows him down in cold blood. No witnesses, no plates, no hesitation. Just another hit-and-run in Kalihi where nobody talks to cops and traffic cameras conveniently malfunction when they're needed most. At Pearl Harbor Naval Base, Commander James Hale screams at SEAL cadets during water competency drills when an officer interrupts with news. Police called. His father Walter is dead. James drives to the morgue, identifies the body with zero visible emotion, and returns home to cook dinner for his wife Layla, played by Roy Mata Fox, and their two kids, Kai and Lonnie. When Layla asks if he called his brother in Oklahoma, James shrugs. Johnny doesn't take his calls. They haven't spoken in 10 years, haven't set foot on Hawaiian soil together in 20. The estrangement runs deeper than geography. Meanwhile, in Oklahoma, Johnny arrives home on his motorcycle to find his Brazilian girlfriend, Valentina, played by Morena Baccarin, packing her car with everything she owns. She's leaving him. Today is her birthday, and he forgot again. She manages a bank while he's suspended from his job as a res cop for excessive force after killing a drug dealer. Johnny also struggles with alcoholism, barely staying sober most days. He tries apologizing in broken Spanish, which only makes things worse since Valentina speaks Portuguese and has corrected him numerous times before. The man really thought saying "te quiero mucho" would save his 3-year relationship. Bold strategy for someone who doesn't know what day of the week it is. As Valentina's car disappears down the road, Johnny's phone rings. It's Layla, introducing herself as James's wife and delivering news about Walter. The funeral is tomorrow in Hawaii. Johnny couldn't care less. He figured Walter died years ago anyway. The man was a terrible father who abandoned both sons repeatedly. But before he can hang up, 2 Yakuza thugs burst through his front door with swords demanding a package Walter allegedly sent him. Johnny, still holding his phone and caught literally mid-piss at the toilet, calmly asks if they know what their tattoos mean. One thug proudly shows his ink and calls it a dragon. Johnny squints and says it looks more like an angry horse, maybe a dragon's asshole at best. These guys clearly didn't read the room before breaking into a suspended cop's house. The fight erupts through Johnny's small apartment set to air supply playing on his stereo. One thug swings his blade at Johnny's mother's memorial shrine on the wall. Massive mistake. Johnny snaps completely, channeling years of suppressed rage into violence. He grabs a cheese grater from the kitchen counter and uses it on the man's hand while screaming. The violence is brutal, creative, and accompanied by the most romantic power ballad of the 1980s. Johnny makes Dragon Ball Z references mid-fight because apparently that's who he is as a person. By the time he finishes, both Yakuza are down and his living room looks like a slaughterhouse. Valentina's goodbye note reads, "Thanks for nothing." Perfect timing. Johnny flies to Honolulu and attends Walter's modest funeral alongside relatives he barely recognizes. His cousin Nani Palakako, played by Samoan New Zealand actress Frankie Adams, works as an assistant to Governor Peter Maho. When James and Johnny finally come face to face at the cemetery, the tension is immediate. James looks his younger brother up and down with obvious disapproval. "You got fat," he says flatly. Johnny fires back without missing a beat. "I can lose weight. You're still gonna be old as fuck." 20 years of painful silence shattered with mutual insults. Family reunions are truly beautiful things. Their uncle Haunani delivers a eulogy explaining that Walter carried darkness his whole life, a curse passed down through generations of Hale men. He hurt everyone around him, including his wives and children. Johnny's mother Kim was murdered when he was young, a crime never solved that haunts him daily. But Haunani reminds the brothers they have something Walter never had: each other. After the service, Johnny wanders into a karaoke bar where a woman slips something into his drink. He wakes up tied to a chair in a warehouse facing Mr. K, played by Branscombe Richmond, the powerful head of the syndicate which controls all illegal gambling across Hawaii. Mr. K sings karaoke badly while his men hold Johnny down. He explains the syndicate has a very long memory. Johnny hurt plenty of his guys back in the day before getting shipped off to Oklahoma as a teenager. And maybe they killed his mother. Maybe not. Mr. K brands Johnny's chest with a burning iron and gives him exactly 7 days to leave the island or take a very long swim with weights attached. Johnny's immediate response is calling Mr. K a fat shit directly to his face while still tied to the chair. Diplomacy was clearly never his strong suit. James visits Detective Sergeant Carl Rennert, played by Stephen Root, hoping to review Walter's case file. Rennert explains there's nothing to find. Walter was hit in Kalihi, where absolutely no one cooperates with police. The single traffic camera that might have captured the incident mysteriously wasn't working that night. Budget cuts. Rennert shrugs. When James presses harder suggesting this was murder, Rennert warns that poking around means poking a bear that doesn't want to be poked. Powerful people are involved. James leans close and delivers his signature line with ice-cold conviction. With all due respect, detective, you don't really know who I am. I'm the fucking bear. Nothing says Navy SEAL quite like threatening animal metaphors. At Walter's cramped apartment that smells like ass and broken dreams, James finds his brother already tearing through dusty boxes. They discover surveillance footage on a disgustingly sticky laptop showing Walter being deliberately run down by a blue catering van marked Nui Loa. The driver never braked until well after impact. This wasn't any accident. This was murder. Johnny also finds architectural plans hidden inside a surfboard with its fin backwards. Walter never surfed. He was hiding evidence. The brothers track down Walter's assistant Pika, played by Spider-Man star Jacob Batalon, a bald hacker with alopecia. When James startles him, Pika screams and calls him Uncle Fester. Charming introduction. Pika explains Walter worked as a private investigator, photographing cheating spouses and corrupt businessmen for cash. His last major client was Monica Robichaud, wife of wealthy casino developer Marcus Robichaud, played by Danish actor Klaus Bang. Monica hired Walter to dig up leverage for her divorce, because without dirt, things wouldn't go well for her personally. And she absolutely did not mean financially. Her husband collects martial arts black belts the way normal people collect stamps. The man is genuinely dangerous. Johnny infiltrates a political fundraiser at Robichaud's mansion by posing as a caterer alongside Pika. Johnny finds Monica alone at the bar and learns she's genuinely terrified of her own husband. Before they can exchange real information, Johnny encounters Nakamura, played by Japanese rock star Miyavi, a coke-sniffing Yakuza lieutenant with a silver hand cannon and pupils the size of dinner plates. Nakamura threatens him with a Japanese proverb about frogs never looking both ways when crossing busy streets. Nakamura is basically a disco ball of chaos holding a loaded weapon. The man snorts cocaine openly at a formal political event like he's applying lip balm. Security eventually escorts both brothers to Robichaud's private study. The host admits he also hired Walter recently. Both husband and wife independently hired the same PI to spy on each other without realizing. Walter was playing both sides and getting paid double. When Johnny aggressively accuses Robichaud of ordering the murder, the villain calmly explains he has very powerful friends in government and suggests both brothers leave Hawaii immediately. Johnny studies Robichaud's pale Belgian complexion and slicked back hair, then calls him the vampire Lestat from Interview with the Vampire. Before anyone can process the insult, Johnny smashes Robichaud's face into his own desk repeatedly while James watches without intervening. During the chaos, Johnny quietly pockets a grenade from Robichaud's military memorabilia display case for later use. Security rushes in, but cousin Nani arrives with Governor Maho, who diffuses the situation. Johnny spends the night in jail for assault. The brothers reconnect with Valentina, who flew in from Oklahoma carrying crucial evidence. Walter mailed her a package from a Honolulu sex shop before dying. The vendor who helped her was wearing nipple tassels. The flash drive itself is shaped like a small penis because apparently Walter had a sense of humor about his legacy. Pika cracks the encrypted files and discovers international wire transfers totaling $12 million flowing through offshore accounts belonging directly to Governor Peter Maho. Robichaud has been systematically bribing Hawaii's governor to legalize gambling so he can build a massive casino resort on protected Hawaiian homelands sacred to native families. The Yakuza provide muscle and eliminate problems. A young government accountant named Simi Iona discovered the corruption and gave Walter the evidence before being tortured and dumped in the ocean. Outside James's house that night, the brothers finally explode at each other over 20 years of built-up resentment. Johnny screams that James completely abandoned him when he needed his big brother most. Their mother had just been murdered, and James shipped him off to Oklahoma alone. The argument escalates into a brutal fist fight in the pouring Hawaiian rain that lasts several agonizing minutes. Both men are evenly matched, equally stubborn, channeling decades of suppressed trauma into their fists. Punches land hard. Blood mixes with rainwater. Neither man will yield. Finally exhausted and bleeding badly in the mud, they collapse side by side. James confesses the devastating truth through tears. He sent Johnny away all those years ago because the syndicate was going to kill him. If not inside prison, then the moment he got released. Shipping him to Oklahoma was literally the only way James could think to save his little brother's life. Johnny never knew any of this. He spent 20 years believing his brother simply gave up on him after their mother died. Now Johnny breaks down sobbing, admitting he never found his mother's killer, and now someone just murdered his father too. It falls to him to deliver justice because he's all his parents have left. James sits beside him in the muddy rain. "No," he says quietly. "They have him too. So does Johnny. Always." These two massive grown men crying together in the mud during a thunderstorm is somehow both the most beautiful and the most ridiculous thing in the entire film. Layla patches their wounds back at the house while the kids watch in horror. Young Kai asks what happened to their faces. Johnny claims they beat up a bunch of bad guys. Kai observes skeptically it looks more like the bad guys won that fight. Layla, a practicing child psychologist, diagnoses both brothers on the spot. Johnny is a developmentally arrested narcissist with severe anger issues. James is a passive-aggressive control freak. That same night, Robichaux's Yakuza soldiers invade the family home and kidnap Layla at gunpoint, while the terrified children hide in closets. Robichaux sends a video message demanding the brothers back off his business permanently or watch James's wife suffer horribly. James and Johnny gear up with serious weapons, including the grenade Johnny stole from Robichaux's office. Valentina tracks Robichaux's location to his heavily guarded coastal compound. Pika provides digital support. The assault begins at nightfall. James storms through the compound's lower level where dozens of armed Yakuza guards await. What follows is a single extended take hallway massacre directly inspired by Park Chan-wook's Korean masterpiece Oldboy. James moves through waves of attackers with brutal efficiency using fists, elbows, a combat knife, and eventually a claw hammer to eliminate everyone blocking his path. One man stabs him deeply from behind. James barely flinches. He simply pulls the blade out and keeps advancing like a machine built for violence. By the time he reaches the corridor's end, bodies litter the floor and the hammer drips crimson. Upstairs, Johnny finally confronts Robichaux, who waits calmly with a pistol. The villain taunts that Johnny is considerably harder to kill than his pathetic drunk father. Johnny responds he's had a very long day, systematically destroying all of Robichaux's businesses, so why don't they skip the foreplay and get right to the banging already? The fight showcases Robichaux's extensive martial arts training against Johnny's chaotic street brawling style. Robichaux lands several clean spinning kicks, but Johnny absorbs punishment like a human punching bag and simply refuses to stay down. Meanwhile, James faces Nakamura in a separate wing. The coked-up Yakuza lieutenant claims with a smile he just spent quality time with James's beautiful wife, and she was very enjoyable. Absolutely the worst thing to say to an enraged Navy SEAL. Their battle combines gunfire, blades, and pure murderous fury until James finally snaps Nakamura's arm completely backward at the elbow and ends him permanently. Johnny eventually gains the upper hand against Robichaux, beating him unconscious just as James arrives covered in blood. They rescue Layla and use Johnny's stolen grenade to blast their escape route clear. The extended family reunites outside with Valentina and the traumatized but safe children. Cousin Nani reports that Governor Maho has been arrested after the evidence went viral. Robichaux's casino empire is completely finished. Detective Rennert arrives and exchanges a knowing look with James. Turns out he really was the bear after all. Days later, at a peaceful family barbecue on a pristine Hawaiian beach, the extended Heilohana gathers together to spread Walter's ashes in the Pacific Ocean. Johnny sits alone near the shore, speaking quietly to his mother's spirit. He admits staying angry all these years was his way of holding on to her, but he knows that's not what she wanted. Valentina watches from nearby, reconsidering whether this broken man deserves another chance. Mr. K approaches Johnny one final time. He hands him a folded paper containing the name of the man who murdered his mother 20 years ago, a token of aloha for eliminating the Yakuza threat from his territory. Johnny stares at the name for a long moment, then walks to the beach fire and burns it while his family watches in silence. James asks if he's really letting it go. Johnny shrugs with a slight smile. Maybe, or maybe he memorized it first. Either way, that's a problem for another day. The brothers laugh about inheriting $12 million from Walter's cryptocurrency wallet. $12 million in a little penis-shaped flash drive. Johnny grins, enough to buy back their stolen childhood. The camera pulls back, revealing the entire family together on Hawaiian soil for the first time in decades. The production consulted the Aha Keole Advisory Committee for authentic Hawaiian representation of the ongoing struggle over Hawaiian homelands. Director Soto drew parallels between Hawaii's tourism tensions and similar issues in his native Puerto Rico. The Old Boy hallway fight took 3 days to choreograph in a single continuous take. This film marks one of the final appearances of Hawaiian icon Brian L. Keaulana before his death in June 2025. Bautista and Momoa's chemistry comes from genuine friendship forged during freezing Toronto shoots on sea where they first played brothers covered in mud and blood.